One of the most secretive organizations of the Spartan program was the creation of the Headhunters, a specialized group of Spartan 3 operatives and then Spartan 4 operatives designed for missions that most soldiers would never return from. Conceived by Oni during the first phase of the Spartan 3 initiative, the Headhunters were small, covert strike teams who conducted high-impact, strategic missions that were vital to the war. But not just anyone could be considered. Only Spartan 3s who had survived at least 2 specially assigned training missions were eligible. From there, Oni's Beta 5 division pored over mission reports and personnel files, applying rigorous selection standards to find candidates who weren't just skilled, but also resilient, adaptable, and able to function in extreme isolation. Once chosen, these Spartans were separated from their peers and sent to a hidden training facility on the far side of Onyx. After 3 months of brutal preparation, they were divided into 2-person fire teams. But pairings weren't random either. The process included intense evaluations and interviews to ensure the best possible compatibility between partners. Trust was everything, because survival often depended on it. Training was relentless and unforgiving. For 2 years, Headhunter candidates alternated between 7 months of supervised field exercises and 6 months of actual combat insertions. By the time they graduated, they were more than Spartans. They were precision tools designed for surgical strikes far behind enemy lines. The harsh truth was that many wouldn't survive very long. Headhunter missions were high risk by design, often with no backup, no extraction, and no chance of reinforcement. At its height, the program fielded a maximum of 6 squads, just a handful of 2-person teams with a total of 17 Spartans rotating in when losses occurred. When one or both partners were killed, replacements filled the gaps, but never without the sobering knowledge that their own chances were very slim. Even after the end of the Human Covenant War, the Headhunter program persisted. Spartan Operations and Oni recognized the continuing need for ultra-covert operatives and adapted the program to new threats. While the traditional 2-person binary teams remained a hallmark, Oni also sanctioned solo deployments, codenamed Lone Wolf. And no, Noble Six, just because he was considered a lone wolf by some, he was not a confirmed Headhunter. Whether working in pairs or alone, these operatives carried on the tradition of the Headhunters, missions nobody else could be asked to survive. Kevin A282's path into the Headhunters was unusual. Originally a member of Alpha Company, he was reassigned at the insistence of the AI Deep Winter. This AI was a smart AI dedicated to operations on Onyx and head instructor for the Spartan 3 program. Deep Winter, acting out of a rare sense of compassion, feared that Kevin and many of his peers would not survive the ill-fated Operation Prometheus. By impersonating his commanding officer, Lieutenant Ambrose, the AI diverted Kevin into the Headhunter program himself. This deception wasn't uncovered until Deep Winter's final confession on his quote-unquote deathbed in 2551. Kevin proved his worth across numerous battlefields, including Colo, Meridian, and Sigma Octantis 4. And if those planets sound familiar, Meridian is where we play on Halo 5, and Sigma Octantis 4 is where John and Blue Team were just before the events of Halo Fall of Reach. But in 2552, during a mission that remains murky even in official records, he suffered serious injuries and permanent facial scars. Oni agents tied to the mission were hospitalized with broken bones, yet reports never clarified what exactly happened. Kevin was recalled to Earth, but fate had other plans. While aboard the UNSC Dark was the night, the ship came under Covenant attack. Kevin's quick action saved Captain Darren Leone, while he dragged him away from an open airlock. Though the crew survived, the vessel crash-landed on the remote colony world called Losing Hand. Here they were stranded for months. Kevin's presence became something of legend. He rarely stayed with the survivors and instead chose to patrol the headlands like a silent sentinel. The locals feared him, and the crew used that fear to keep would-be raiders away from their wreck. Some whispered that he had deserted, but everyone knew that he hadn't truly abandoned them. He was out, protecting them and watching over them. A year after the crash, tensions reached a boiling point when a faction of locals led by a man named Ryan Larson tried to seize the crippled ship. Captain Leone turned to Kevin for help. Though he initially refused, Kevin returned at the critical moment when things were boiling over. In a display of unmatched precision, he unslung and used his SRS-99 sniper rifle to shoot Larson's shotgun straight out of his hand, which saved Captain Leone's life once again. Not long after this incident, a Makar pattern corvette named the Lookout arrived and revealed itself as friendly. Kevin accepted their offer to leave the planet Losing Hand, driven not by self-preservation, but the desire to serve again and be useful. He had endured exile, suspicion, and isolation, but he remained loyal to his duty and his mission. Born Hazel Leonadov on the colony world of Illuvion in 2521, Hazel was destined for a life of hardship. Orphaned during the Human Covenant War, she became one of nearly 500 war orphans recruited into the first Spartan 3 company, Alpha Company. Even amongst her peers, Hazel stood out. An exceptional athlete and sharp-minded student, she quickly proved herself in the program. By 2536, Alpha Company had graduated. Hazel and her peers were deployed on multiple operations, including Operation Firebrand, which was to suppress a coup on a planet called Mamor, and Operation Hwacha, where Spartans fought as boarders in a fleet engagement within the Bonanza asteroid belt. Their mission spanned multiple colonies, culminating in Operation Iron Greave, the defense of New Constantinople. During this time, Hazel's unique skill set caught the eye of ONI advisors attached to Vice Admiral Danforth Whitcomb. She was quietly extracted from Alpha Company and inducted into the secretive Headhunter initiative. This reassignment would end up saving her life, because when Alpha Company deployed to asteroid K749 for Operation Prometheus, nearly all 300 Spartans perished. Hazel survived because her slot had been filled by another after her promotion. As a Headhunter, Hazel underwent an even harsher training cycle. Paired with another Spartan, she carried out missions in which stealth and precision mattered more than overwhelming force. Headhunters infiltrated heavily fortified Covenant positions, assassinated high-ranking leaders, and destroyed sensitive UNSC intel before it could fall into enemy hands. They worked without backup, without radio contact, and often without the promise of extraction. Hazel thrived under these impossible conditions. She racked up over a dozen confirmed kills against high-value Covenant targets and successfully recovered intelligence that, if lost, could have doomed the entire UNSC campaign. Her work was quiet, unseen, and decisive. After the war, Hazel transitioned to new roles. In late 2553, she partnered with a Spartan 3 named Owen B096 and Spartan 2 Linda 058 of Blue Team on a mission involving the AI named Gabriella, which contained the entirety of humanity's recorded history. Hazel and her team escorted Gabriella to Earth, where she later helped support Outpost Discovery, a traveling initiative meant to inspire and recruit the next generation of UNSC personnel. Even in peacetime, Hazel's duties demanded sacrifice. When the created conflict began, she was tasked with protecting critical supply lines from banished interference. From war orphan to frontline Spartan to shadow operative and finally a mentor figure, Hazel truly embodies the resilience and the adaptability the Headhunter program was built upon. Spartan Naiya Ray stands apart from most Headhunters because of her origins. Born on the colony world of Heavensward, she began her career not as a child conscript, but as a UNSC Air Force Signals Intelligence Officer. For 4 years, she honed her experience in communication, interception, and electronic warfare. That background made her a natural candidate for the newly minted Spartan 4 program after the Human Covenant War. Ray excelled in training and was quickly recruited into ONI's Section 3 as a Headhunter. Her skills in stealth and intelligence gathering made her an ideal fit for this role, and she took on missions that demanded both combat prowess and technical expertise. Though her time as a Headhunter was relatively brief, it was impactful. She soon transitioned to Fireteam Jackknife aboard the UNSC Infinity, where her story really takes off. In March 2558, Ray and her team were tasked with escorting none other than Fleet Admiral Lord Terrence Hood and the Arbiter to Aelin 4 for a high-stakes diplomatic summit. What should have been a routine mission turned into chaos when Covenant mercenaries under Vata Gajat launched a surprise attack. What should have been a routine mission turned into chaos when Covenant mercenaries under an elite named Vata Gajat launched a surprise attack. With their evacuation ship destroyed and communications jammed, the Spartans were forced to fight their way to safety alongside the diplomats. Ray's signal intelligence expertise proved invaluable. Working alongside Captain Lasky, she discovered that the jamming came directly from a Covenant network. By destroying its reactor, she re-established communications, enabling the Infinity to counterattack and drive the enemy into retreat. The delegates were saved, but at unfortunately a great cost. Fireteam Jackknife was wiped out, leaving Ray the sole survivor. What followed revealed her adaptability and her loyalty. Assigned to assist Lasky personally, Ray traveled with him to Escala 3 to rendezvous with a journalist named Petra Janek. Together, they worked to expose the UNSC mole who had betrayed the delegation on Aelin 4. The journey took them across the colonies, including the Singhili world of Karava, where Ray's combat instincts kept the group alive in volatile situations. But Ray's missions didn't end there. On a planet called Ven 3, she and Spartan Thorn pursued a Singhili agent rumored to possess a bioweapon. The mission turned into a harrowing experience when Thorn was captured, forcing Ray to infiltrate a massive underground Jackal stronghold alone. Though she managed to re-establish communications and support the rescue effort, ONI ended up intervening at the last moment, claiming custody of the target and the weapon. Later, Ray was drawn into operations surrounding none other than Dr. Catherine Halsey in the pursuit of something called the Janus Key, which is a foreign artifact that was capable of mapping every installation in the galaxy. On Atkiss 4, Ray and her team clashed with Covenant zealots and confronted a moral dilemma, particularly when Commander Palmer chose to wait for Halsey instead of seizing the artifact from vulnerable enemies. These decisions caused visible frustration for both Ray and Thorne, which highlighted her straightforward but pragmatic nature. Ray's career demonstrates the unique strength of the Spartan 4 generation: adaptability. Unlike Spartan 3s and Spartan 2s, Ray was not molded from childhood for war. She brought her own professional background, her own judgment, and a willingness to challenge orders that she found questionable. Though her time as a headhunter was only part of her story, the skills she developed there, things like stealth, precision, and independence, shaped her into one of Infinity's most reliable Spartans. Hopefully, maybe we'll see her in a future book like Halo: Edge of Dawn. Roland and Jonah were two of the 418 candidates recruited by ONI for Spartan 3 Beta Company around 2539. From the start of their training under Lieutenant Commander Kurt Ambrose, also known as Kurt 051, both distinguished themselves with exceptional combat skills and tactical insight. They were so proficient that ONI placed them in separate Special Forces units outside the general population of Beta Company. This assignment spared them from ending up participating in Operation Torpedo, the mission that claimed nearly all of Beta Company save for Tom and Lucy. The two were paired into a two-man headhunter team known as a binary team, their compatibility nearly flawless. Their match rating was an astonishing 97.36%, an achievement only surpassed by one other headhunter team in its entire history. From the beginning, it was clear that together they could take on missions that would challenge even entire squads of Spartans. During the Human Covenant War, they were tasked with a high-stakes mission: destroy at least 6 of 10 Covenant bases on a remote, uncharted moon, while another headhunter team neutralized the remaining 4. They approached each base with methodical precision. Reconnaissance came first, followed by planning and coordinated strikes. Inside one of the bases, Roland ended up setting demolition charges in the reactors, while Jonah cleared the camp's barracks. Using energy disruptors and flashbangs, Jonah disoriented and eliminated enemy forces with surgical efficiency. At one point, he engaged the Sangheli in close combat, ultimately beheading it using the gruesome trophy to provoke the remaining Covenant troops. He ended up finishing off the surviving enemies very quickly. Unfortunately, near the end of the mission, Roland confirmed that the charges were in place, but a red-bladed energy sword stabbed him from behind. But even in those final moments, he managed to speak a single word: clear. The charges were ready. Jonah immediately engaged the attacking elites, discovering it was actually part of the elite Silent Shadow unit. 5 more members of the Silent Shadow arrived as reinforcements, including the notorious Jega Erdamnai. Despite the overwhelming odds, Jonah fought with unyielding skill and determination, completing the mission, but at his own personal cost. The bond forged between the two Spartans in training and combat, though tragically cut short, became a benchmark for headhunter operations in the years to come. Jun was born on February 28, 2524, in Tyumen on New Harmony, just a year before the outbreak of the Human Covenant War. Orphaned under unclear circumstances, he entered the Spartan 3 program at the age of 8, which is a little bit old compared to other Spartans, and he was brought to Onyx under the direction of Colonel James Ackerson. Training under Lieutenant Commander Kurt Ambrose and Senior Chief Petty Officer Franklin Mendez, who you might recognize from the Spartan 2 program, at Camp Currahee, Jun quickly proved himself as a prodigious marksman and a scout, mastering the art of infiltration, reconnaissance, and sharpshooting at an early age. In 2536, he and the rest of Alpha Company underwent augmentations aboard the UNSC Hopeful. Jun's procedures nearly left him incapacitated, but his determination and resilience saw him through. He graduated alongside his peers later that year, barely 12 years old. With his skills and maturity, Jun was quickly recognized as an invaluable asset, removed from Alpha Company's mainline roster and assigned to a headhunter team under ONI. His missions were covert, surgical, and usually lethal, tracking down insurgent leaders who defied the tenuous post-harvest ceasefire. Rising through the ranks to warrant officer, Jun joined the elite Noble team under Commander Carter A259, serving as sniper and scout. The team, which also included Lieutenant Commander Cat B320 as second in command, operated across the inner colonies, consistently facing overwhelming odds. Jun's accuracy, situational awareness, and calm under fire meant he was often one of the few to return from each mission. In late 2551, 1 year before the end of the war, during the defense of a planet called Concord, Jun was left in Scathi to hold the town against Covenant forces after Noble's other members advanced to meet the enemy in the field. His keen observation and sharpshooting kept the enemy in check while providing vital intelligence to his team. After the events on Concord, Noble team redeployed to a planet called Fumarole to intercept another Covenant threat. And in April of 2552, just a few months before the fall of Reach, they executed a daring plan to infiltrate and destroy a Ket pattern battlecruiser named the Sanctity of Purification. Covering the team as Tom A293 made the ultimate sacrifice to detonate the warship with a Fury tactical nuke, Jun demonstrated unwavering resolve and tactical acumen under fire. Following the Covenant War, Jun transitioned into the Spartan 4 program with Commander Musa 096, a washout Spartan 2. He became a recruiter, a trainer, and mentor for the next generation of Spartans. He personally recruited Spartan Palmer and Edward Buck, testing them with grueling exercises designed to instill teamwork and discipline over individual heroics. During the New Colonial Alliance insurgency aboard the UNSC Infinity, Jun led the Spartan force in retaking the ship from hostile forces, demonstrating a blend of leadership, tactical expertise, and measured risk-taking. Years later, during Cortana's created uprising, Jun faced an AI named Leonadov, who had taken control of his Spartan training station. Kept unconscious by a lack of air, Jun only regained control when Buck neutralized the AI. Soon after, Jun recruited Rosenda A344 to assist in defending the Avery J. Johnson Academy of Science from a banished assault in 2560, highlighting his enduring role as both a field operative and mentor, capable of balancing command with frontline action. During the war, at least two headhunters, Roland and Jonah, wore a more advanced version of the standard-issued semi-powered infiltration armor, or spy armor, used by most Spartan 3s. This armor included motion trackers, energy shielding, visor technology, and a prototype active camouflage module. The active camo system could be sustained for only about 3.5 to 4 minutes and diverted power from other systems while it recharged. We've actually seen this before, very early in the war, with Blue Team fielding out Skunkworks modifications to their Mjolnir Mark IV. Some of the first Headhunter teams also field tested the Mark IV/Z suits. Following the war, the Mjolnir Gen 2 War Master variant became the de facto standard among Spartan 4 Headhunters, with the Wrath variant developed to be specifically tailored to the needs of future Headhunter teams. Jun sports a Mark V-B base Mjolnir set with the Scout helmet and the HU/RS upgrade. His personal modifications for mission specifics typically include a combat knife attachment, loose 12.5 by 114mm sniper rifle rounds, and a tactical universal global positioning system device on his wrist. Kevin donned a blue Mark V armor set accented with crimson and black stripes. Hazel is outfitted with a base set of Mjolnir Mark V-B as well, up-armored with a collar/breacher chest piece, and a recon helmet that is also up-armored with a UA Type 05 and equipped with the HU3 attachment. Her left shoulder is protected by a SAP Grenadier Pauldron and her right shoulder by a SAP Recon 1. There's not a terrible lot of media out there regarding the Headhunters, and most of it is in books and comics, so if you're curious about where to read or see more about the Headhunters, here's a couple places that you can find stories. First, there's Halo Evolution's Headhunters, the audiobook, and then there's Halo Evolution's Headhunters, the actual movie. Next, after that is Halo Mythos. Then Halo Official Spartan Field Manual talks about it a little bit. Then there's also a standalone comic featuring Linda 058 called Halo Lone Wolf, where we see Hazel. Then there's also Halo Outpost Discovery, which again features Hazel. There's Halo Fractures, the story specifically called Breaking Strain, which details the events that we see Kevin in. And then there's also Halo Spartan Strike. Thanks everyone for checking out my video. I don't do long form content very much, so a like and a follow is much appreciated. Join my Discord to play monthly Halo events, tournaments, lore drops, game nights, and more. If you want to know where all these awesome art pieces come from, I'll add the links in the handles below.